Welcome back to Power Panel 365. This is your host, Star Coates. Welcome back to Power Panel 365. Today we're here at the Oakland Museum and we're in the Black Panther exhibit, part of the museum. So I'm going to read something for you guys. Oakland's Black community has a long history working for the equal rights each generation has built upon the work of the last. In the late 1960s, some civil rights activists grew frustrated that their political victories had not defeated racism. Economic and political discrimination continued as activists were beaten, arrested, and killed. For those who had lost faith in using only nonviolent tactics, Black Power was the answer. Black Power claimed self-governance, self-protection, and self-love as a powerful new tool in the struggle for Black liberation. Here in Oakland, the Black Panther Party brought national attention to the Black Power struggle with the bold tactics that resisted racism by protecting and nourishing oppressed communities. So we're going to be showing you guys a few things within the exhibit. And they've got quite a few pictures and things on display. And some of these things we'll be talking about and showing you guys a few of the things that are within this exhibit. So we've got a few things on display. You guys know what that is already. It says, "This happened here. Racism is always expressed in aggressive and obvious way. Racist caricatures were popular in, or caricatures, I'm sorry, were popular in the U.S. from the 1850s through the 1950s. Artists presented Black people as cartoonish figures to be feared or laughed at, but barely taken seriously. These images were all around evidence that racism was an everyday part of American life. All of the objects in these cases are from here in California." So they've got quite a few things, if you guys can see it well. And to move over into a more positive side of this exhibit, some of these displays: Black Community Survival Conference poster of 1972, Prickle Jones United Black Panthers Free Breakfast Program in 1969, and HOC Committee Against Racism protests in 1964. So I'll be showing you guys a more closer view, but this is a very iconic picture as well of the kids program, which I love this picture. So this is some of the art that's in the display case and even up on the walls, just to give you guys a kind of a good view of what it would look like. You guys all remember Bobby Hutton. It was stated that he was shot and killed. So his story is down here. It says Bobby Hutton, um, on April 16, 1968, 17-year-old Bobby Eldridge Cleaver and the other Black Panther members were stopped by the police and encounter turned into a gun battle. 90 minutes later, Cleaver was in custody and Bobby Hutton had been killed by the police. Contradictory accounts of Hutton's murder was from the police and from Panthers witness galvanized the party's commitment to combat police violence. This sign was used on April 12, 1968, in a funeral procession for Bobby Hutton, which began across the Alameda County Courthouse and ended in the jail where Eldridge Cleaver was being held. So I'll get a kind of close up for you guys if I can. I know my shadow's in the way a little bit. Uh, they said this is what they used. It says memorial sign. Now it says they can sit in the chair. Kids were just telling me, because we just talked about how they went crazy when Caleb was little, when I let him sit in the chair and they got all upset. So we have another display of photographs that were taken, and it says here Kenneth P. Green, sir, Untitled Man, an early Black Panther rally in Richmond, California. So we've got two pictures here. It says Untitled Police in 1967. So these pictures here, and it's so funny because like their encounters look like the encounters that we would face today. The same frustration, the same anger, the same riots when people are running. Just that confrontation of a lot of police action, a lot of people out. It says here, police brutally had been in a reality of Oakland for a long time in 1931. The National Commission on Law Enforcement described Oakland as a place of unjustified brutality by police towards citizens. So it seems like it's been going on for a long time. In 1966 and in 1967, the Oakland Economic Development Council argued the city council to develop a task force to review citizen complaints about police behavior. They refused after the Oakland Police Officer Association announced that their members would sue the city to avoid participating in any investigation. This issue was primary for using PvP Root and Bobby Seale founded the Black Panther Party for self-defense. The killing of unarmed black men in Watts, San Francisco, and North Richmond inspired party members to organize groups to monitor the police. Legally armed cop-watching groups followed police cars. So those of us that may not know some of the action that was taken by the Black Panthers, and then even being called like a terrorist group, this gives a more firm definition, really. So you've got some art here on display. So you guys forgive me that some of the images here within this display case, for some reason, it's not very well lit in this area. It says we want land, bread, and housing. The Oakland Tribune's published whites only real estate listing until 1964. Owning a house is an important way to create long-term wealth that supports families for generations. Until the mid-1960s, it was legal to exclude non-whites from buying specific homes, living in certain neighborhoods, or getting a bank loan to buy a house. So then this goes into some history about housing. It says no colored trade solicited. Big Carl. There's some of the things you guys can do a little homework on too. Agricultural fragments. West Oakland. Says West Oakland home being destroyed by a tank in 1967. Wow. And then to come back up here so you guys can see this poster for Bobby Seale. He's 150 years of slavery. He's 80 years of low wages, segregation, and having doors slammed in our faces. Then you might find some more reason for condemning instead of helping. But don't continue to push these people into a vicious circle and then blame them for being there. Reverend H. Solomon Hill, Chairman. Wow. And then, of course, you guys know this iconic chair. I remember once when I took my son here, he tried to sit in this chair and the security went nuts. So it says, what do we want? And you guys, most likely everybody has heard of some of these demands. Okay, and then you've got the iconic picture of Huey sitting in the chair. Then we've got another display case here and some more iconic pictures. Okay. From 1965 to 1975, a network of political radical black artists, writers, actors, dancers, playwrights across the country opened creative spaces to nurture art that explored black liberation. The black arts movement celebrated a fullness of American blackness, though its self definition and bold disregard for the white expectations. Some drew inspiration from African traditions, others studied African American history for examples of black excellence. In college campuses, students challenged their institutions to respond to cultural and political shifts inspired by the Black Power movement. They demanded courses that acknowledged their histories and the complexity of the Black experience. Because of this activism, the Bay Area is home of the first Black Studies Department and Black Students Union in the country. So we've got some history here behind the display case, and we've got some art up on the wall. And I'll give you guys a little bit of a close up so you guys can get to see what that art looks like up close. Another part of the exhibit, and I'm going to be showing you guys a few of the pictures and talking about them. One says Kenneth P. Green, sir, man at early Black Panther rally in Richmond, California. Police in 1967, Untitled Police in 1967. And we can see here that some of the things that you see look very similar to today. Police brutality has been a reality in Oakland for a long time. In 1931, the National Commission of Law Enforcement described Oakland as a place of unjustifiable brutality by police towards citizens. In 1966 and 1967, the Oakland Economic Development Council urged the City Council to develop a task force to review citizen complaints about police behavior. They refused after the Oakland Police Officers Association announced that their members would sue the city to avoid participating in any investigation. This issue was a primary reason Huey Newton and Bobby Seale founded the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. Now, as we have heard before, we've heard that there have been called a terrorist group, which is not true. This exhibit gives some detail about exactly why the Panthers formed their group the way they formed it. The North Richmond inspired party members to organize groups to monitor the police. Legally armed cop watching groups formed police cars, conducting investigations into illegal police activity and physically protected Oaklanders from abuse. So we can see here, even in this picture up here, the police are talking to these black men. They're outside, of course. Here within this area, it's talking about a riot. You can see people running. This black man here, he's armed. And this is something that has gone on for a long time. The police brutality is not the first time that this has ever happened. This has been going on for a long time. So I'm going to show you guys the other side real quick. So here it says, vote baby, vote. There's some more photos here that talk about the Black Panthers. All of us or none, the Black Panther Party worked alongside people of other oppressive groups in the U.S. and abroad. The party's model of self-pride and self-definition and self-reliance required numerous marginalized groups and organizations to resist political and social inequity. Posters like this one, the book below, were an effective way to spread a message quickly and clearly. So as you can see, the Panthers, they formed a few things to try to get people to recognize and understand some of the political and some of the community types of things that were going on within their community, and not only within their community, but abroad. They knew that it wasn't just in one area that Black people were being affected, but they were being affected in all areas, especially here within the United States. A lot of times when I was out traveling growing up, oh, here is a little closer shot of the display case. Some of the pins that you might see that are popular. And an up close shot of the poster about voting. Okay. So these are some of the Black Panthers. And just to give you guys more of an up close shot, they have a gun on display, a shotgun. Okay, give you guys a closer shot of some of the images we just discussed. Okay. And this here's a book on display. It's called Political Posters. Okay.
Women in the right hand party, every opportunity to advance. Women in the party that ran chapters like this, like the chapter. So in the right hand party, you learn to take orders from whoever's in charge. Whoever's in charge is qualified. So even with the male showing you didn't like that person, you couldn't show it. Or you didn't like women being in the party or holding position, stop you. Foul language, and older people in the community not really for that, so that turned off a lot of people who go to church or religions, and at a certain point of our legacy, the party kind of strayed away from working with the church and the community, right? So our understanding at that time was some kind of either part of the problem, part of the solution kind of, concept, which is incorrect. Because a person could be part of the problem and part of the solution at the same time. That's a dual nature thing.
So actually, it wasn't until after the party began to understand a lot of things about myself. I was in the moment, and I never made judgment on anything that happened in the moment. I just was in the moment.
Grassroots brothers and sisters, various programs. Those programs, they gave the Black Panther Party real character.
I'm so glad you asked that question, because I think I should design it, along with Emery Douglas should design it, since we're both artists. And I imagine two youth, male and female, at a forefront, the vanguard, and a community behind me.
I would build a monument in Bobby Hutton Park, West Oakland. It's called the Infirmary Park. I would change that name. I would take that sign and throw it to the curb and put a sign that says Bobby Hutton Park and People's Park.
The first image that pops into my head is the face. And I can imagine just a giant black fist.